Hey everyone, it's FLAK. Battlefield is a franchise built on the back of multiplayer. The first game in the series, Battlefield 1942, shook up the gaming world in 2002, offering players all-out warfare with vehicles across sprawling maps. DICE built on that success with Battlefield Vietnam and Battlefield 2. In fact, it wasn't until 2008's Battlefield Bad Company that developers finally dipped their toes into a proper single-player campaign. Bad Company's squad-centric focus told a story antithetic to the blockbuster campaigns of Call of Duty. The more humble and grounded approach endeared DICE to players craving a more realistic and personal experience. Subsequent campaigns saw similar success, with Battlefield 3's story garnering praise from critics and players alike. It's still held by many as the gold standard for the franchise. Meanwhile, Battlefield 4 suffered a few missteps, and Hardline's episodic television approach failed to draw a crowd. With Battlefield 1, however, DICE took a new approach: war stories. These incorporated multiple storylines into shorter, bite-sized offerings. Players appreciated the fast-paced action, but all that direction came apart at the seams with Battlefield 5. Mission mechanics were dumbed down, and politics drove a wedge between some developers and players. Combined with a fractured and buggy launch, it failed to wow fans. Not even the late arrival of the superb Last Tiger could salvage Battlefield 5's single-player offering. This leaves many wondering the direction of Battlefield 6. What will the next game offer in terms of a campaign, or will there even be a campaign at all? EA certainly doesn't make dividing the answer to this question easy. Now, many fans would argue Battlefield 6 doesn't need a campaign. There will always be this subset of the fanbase that argues the franchise never needed single player in the first place. After all, it began without one. But just as many fans probably joined the franchise when single player was a part of the regular offering. Regardless of how you look at it, pretending a campaign can't enrich an experience or make a game more enjoyable is just plain silly. Even with the sophisticated destruction made possible with the Frostbite engine and the all-out vehicular warfare, few would argue that Battlefield 3 didn't benefit from the Dynamite campaign. Similarly, it's hard to imagine Battlefield 1 selling that World War I vibe without a curated tour of the trenches. Even the game's short prologue was incredible. Storm of Steel was one of the most talked about moments of TwitchCon 2016, and probably for all reveals of that year. It instantly sold the game's gritty and dark setting. On top of that, Battlefield 1's full campaign explored many of the different aspects and theaters of the war, creating a believable world thrust into conflict and providing important context to the multiplayer maps. Now, EA has yet to confirm if Battlefield 6 will feature a single-player campaign, but teases for the game certainly make it seem likely. Footage released during EA Play showcased a close-up of a face with realistic muscle movement. This is the kind of shot that we see in cinematics associated with a single-player experience. Additionally, EA just filed a patent for something described as a universal facial expression translation and character rendering system. From a technical standpoint, this is supposed to lighten the load on animators. So why EA would pursue this technology unless they intended to use it for cutscenes, I don't know. However, EA hasn't exactly been keen on single-player campaigns in recent shooters. The Battle Royale Apex Legends opts for the cheaper hero character route and tries to create a compelling world through environmental storytelling. Personally, that doesn't do very much for me in making the game more compelling, but I can't argue Apex is not a commercial success. So, such success may signal to the company that Battlefield 6 doesn't need a campaign. And it's clear that the game's development cycle will also probably play a major role in all this. After Battlefield 5, Battlefield 6 needs a clear focus, and there's just no substitute for the work hours needed to produce a good product. If that means cutting a single-player campaign to produce a functional and fun multiplayer out of the box versus a broken one, then, well, I'm not going to die on that hill. However, it should be noted that industry analysts expect the base price of next-gen games to jump to $70. $70 for a multiplayer-only experience is going to be a tough sell for a lot of people, especially right now with everything going on. Campaigns are often interpreted as additional value, and they certainly do influence some people's spending decisions. Personally, I really appreciate single-player campaigns. Even though I started with Battlefield 1942, I've really grown to appreciate Battlefield's take on narrative experiences. They were always just more down-to-earth and believable than Call of Duty, which was just so over the top in so many ways. It's also important for me to feel a connection to the multiplayer maps. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like that, but I really need to know why the fight matters and what happened at that location. If I don't have that, it just kind of seems a little bit hollow and empty. Just a simple set piece somebody thought looked cool. So, for example, maps like Operation Metro are great, but they'll never match the immersion level I got from Fort de Vaux, actually living that history. I did go to the real fort a while back and did a comparison video. If you're bored and want to check that out, I'll leave a link to that in the video description. But I am curious if you feel the same way I do about single-player campaigns. Should they stay or go in Battlefield? Tell me in the comments. I know we're still a few months away from a Battlefield 6 reveal, but I promise I will keep an eye out for any interesting news. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike, and make sure to tap that bell and subscribe. You can also hang out with the community on social media like Twitter, Facebook, and we also have a Discord, so make sure to check that out. Details are down below in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching.